Before I get started with this story, let me give a shout out to Liquid Verse off of Twitter for tagging me in it. Now, this story right here sounds all too familiar, mainly because I just did a story about this like a week and a half ago, like literally within the last week and a half, probably. So in this picture, you see a family. Yes, this is a family, but the family looks a little like a mixed bag, so to speak. So you have a mother, a father, husband and wife, a little black boy, and two little white boys. As a matter of fact, let me pause this right quick. This is a better picture right here. So like I said, you have a husband and a wife, a mother and father. You see a older black girl, a younger black boy, and three little white boys. Now, you can pretty much guess who came out of whom and who got picked up from where. So, I don't mean to make it sound like that, but it is what it is. So, you have this family right here, and the mother's name and wife, her name is Jennifer McDuffie Moore, and her husband's name is Harry Moore. She's 43, and he is 37. And this is their rather blended, mixed family, so to speak. And the reason why this story is going to sound so familiar is because I just did a story about a young lady who's 21 who was on a plane ride with her young adopted white sister, who I believe she was under the age of 10. She was very young. And she was accused of abducting this child. Fast forward to this story right here, and the same thing has occurred with this family, where they were accused of abducting these three boys. Now, I already know what many of you are about to say. Well, I don't know why they are going out there adopting white kids when they know the type of climate that we're living in. There's so many black kids out here that can be adopted. Let me say this. You are correct in that aspect. However, if no one's going to question when white people adopt black kids, why are they always questioned? Why are black people always under the suspicion of them abducting? Especially when you can look at stats. When it comes to kidnapping, who leads in that? You talking about a group of people that will kidnap their own kids. Or kids that aren't theirs that look just like them or identify as them. But it's always a question of suspicion of why that is. Every time I do a story where it involves a black family adopting white children, it's always the same song and dance. That is a level of suspicion that they're kidnapping these kids. See, that goes back to that inherent thinking that white people have when it comes to adoption. And see, the thing is, it's almost like white people can adopt the whole globe, and have in some cases, but when it comes to black people adopting those who don't look like or identify as them, then it's a problem. And the last time we did a story about some white parents adopting some black kids, they slaughtered the whole family. Let's question that. Y'all know what story I'm talking about. And then a lot of people don't want to talk about how hard it is for black families to adopt black kids. Like, they literally put them through the ringer. I mean, going back to the Hart family, their parents were going through it, but their grandmother wasn't. She was trying her hardest to adopt those kids, but they would not give them to her. And she was the biological grandmother. And I think they didn't do it because, she had ties to the mother, who I think was strung out or something like that. So they was scared, or in some cases scared, that the mother would come around them. Yet they gave those kids to these two Hall L creatures who was abusing them. And they had it heavily documented. And then when they finally snapped out of it and decided to wake up and finally do a welfare check, after the neighbors basically told them what was going on, they gather all the kids up into a truck and dive off of a cliff. And as far as we all know, they are all dead. They never recovered those bodies. They're probably at the bottom of the ocean as we speak. Because they never found Devontae Hart. If they did find the bodies of his siblings, they never found him. So again, I say, they have a level of suspicion when it comes to black people adopting their kids or other kids from other cultures, but it's never brought up when they do it, or it's never questioned. But again, the adoption agencies in this country makes it very hard for black people to adopt black kids. I've heard this so many times. They put them through the ringer to adopt kids. But when it comes to them white parents who are looking to adopt, they'll gladly hand them over to them. And then that's when you should really worry. Not saying that they all turn out bad, but it's always some weird things going on. Just like I remember it was a story where it was two white men who was in a relationship who were married, and they adopted these black boys. They were all siblings to keep them together. Nothing wrong with that. But you could tell that older sibling, he just felt something was wrong. Like you could tell that when you looked at the family pictures, he didn't never looked happy. Like you could tell something was wrong. But they never question it. They never question it. But they always thinking that if a black family adopts some white kids, they're being abducted. They're doing this, that, and the third to them. It's always a level of suspicion. So with that being said, let me go ahead and read this article. A black couple from Pennsylvania who adopted twin boys who are white have been accused of kidnapping their own kids, including by a woman who threatened to call the cops when their sons had a tantrum at a playground, according to a report. Jennifer McDuffie Moore and her husband Harry Moore took in 3-year-olds Braden and Trevor as foster children after they were separated at birth from their biological mother, who suffered from drug addiction. 2 years later, the Collingdale couple officially adopted the twins, who joined the couple's biological children, Joy, age 21, and Courtney, age 11, and their adoptive kids, Keenan, age 10, and Sanchez, age 8, according to the news outlet. Jennifer, who co-owns a childcare program, and Harry, a mechanic, described racist episodes they have experienced as the black parents of white children. A month ago, we were playing at the playground and the twins didn't want to go home. A lady had been watching us playing, and when one of the twins had a tantrum, she told me she was going to call the police. I scooped the kids up and she thought I was stealing them. One of the twins said, "No, that's my mom. I don't want to justify because people should mind their own business," she said. The couple also said they've been pulled over by police while driving in their minivan. In one episode, a cop interrogated them about 2 white foster girls in the vehicle. "We were coming back from a family outing from Delaware and we got pulled over. We had our children and 2 little strawberry blonde girls who we were fostering with us, and the first thing the cops asked my husband was, 'Whose kids are those?' And he wasn't kind about it." Harry said the officer claimed he had pulled them over because the minivan's windows were too dark, but we knew why he pulled us over. The parents said they experienced the racial challenges when they adopted Keenan, who was also white, in 2016, but the episodes grew more intense after George Floyd's murder and at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. We often see transracial adoption done the other way, a white family adopting a black child. Even doing the paperwork, there are a lot of questions about our ability to foster children who are white. It took us 2,695 days to adopt Keenan because we are black. What? Did y'all hear that? She counted down the days. She said 2,695 days to adopt one child because he was white and that they were black. So not only is it hard for black parents to adopt children of their own race, but it's also harder, and probably even harder, to adopt children that are not black. Basically, the adoption agency is very discriminatory when it comes to black parents. And I've even seen them bend the rules when it comes to white parents who are single parents. And they don't put them through that much. But if they're a single parent and they're black, whether mother or father, then there's an issue. They always say, well, there needs to be a 2-parent household. I personally don't have a problem if it's a 2-parent household. But then they'll go through extra lengths and they'll do more and more and more and more stuff, as you're seeing right here. We have conversations about race all the time in our home. We talk about it. We know that everyone is different. You have to acknowledge it and not pretend to be colorblind. Last year was crazy. We saw all these racially charged incidents happen, and we had to have conversations with our children. The mom said Braden and Trevor were supposed to stay for a weekend, and now they are here forever. They were born with a drug in their system, and so they are medically needy with developmental delays in speech and language issues. So basically, while their mother was pregnant with them, she was on that stuff. 2 days after we took them in for a weekend to give their foster carer a break, the agency asked if they could stay for good. We said they could stay with us until they had found a home, but then time passed and they were nearly a year old, and our whole family, my nieces and our church, pitched in, and we eventually started the adoption process. The couple said they can't imagine their family without the twins. They are definitely our sons, Jennifer told WNS. Instead of scrutinizing what color people are or their gender or their preferences, people should understand that love really does support a family. There are so many kids out here without homes. That was a very, very interesting story. And, I'm glad that they're not trying to raise their children up into a colorblind society because a few of them are white and the others are not. So, tell them the realities of what it is. Like, tell them what privileges they're going to have because they're white that their black, siblings are not going to be able to have. They're going to have a level amount of privilege and even more privilege because they're male. They're white males at that. So there's going to definitely be a slight disconnect, and they need to instill that right now, like before they really head out into the world. But I hope that everyone really takes into consideration what I said in the beginning. The adoption process for black families in general is horrible. And I'm sure some of you down in the comment sections have probably gone through the adoption process, and maybe y'all can tell me and the other people who are listening your adoption processes, because I'm sure and I'm not going to say that and make a blanket statement, say it's for everybody, but I'm sure based on hearing her story, it's a nightmare. So, and not only the adoption process, but also, being seen in public with these kids. Like they said that they got pulled over, accused of kidnapping the kids. One woman in the park said they was going to call the cops because they accused them of kidnapping the kids and whatnot. But that's PC for you. That's PC, and they'll mask it as, oh, we're just, making sure they're safe. Meanwhile, like I said, when it comes to kidnapping stats, a lot of them be kidnapping their own or other people's children that look like them. But they can get away with it because they blend well. Or when it comes to black children, like the Hart family or the Hart siblings, no one questioned it. But, and because no one questioned it, now they're all dead. Just something to think about. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments.